Hey guys, first month of 2025 is down. So, doing a little check-in with myself, and I have to say, this January I think has been the most productive January I have ever had. And so, as I was doing my reflections to make sure that I was continuing with what was working so well and rooting out things that maybe were not as effective, I really realized that some very small practices that I made sure I put in place at the beginning of this year is what's made all the difference. As I decided that this year, I wanted to feel like everything I did was truly from a place of strength. And I had a strong foundation underneath me. And so I brainstormed over the last 5 years, what little practices have I done in the past that I know made me feel more connected to me, more in tune with what was important in my business, in my messaging, in my own personal life, and gave me those little places of powerful pause so that every action I took was one of power instead of one of hesitation. And I guess you could kind of think of it as, how they say it's always more powerful to jump from the dock than it is from a floating raft, because obviously you can get much higher when you have a strong foundation underneath you. That's how I wanted to set up my 2025. So my little practices might seem silly because they are really basic, but they are the things that help me feel really in tuned and have clarity throughout the day. And so here's what I made sure I did. This seems a little bit more woohoo maybe, but it is huge for me. And that is, I listen to my nature sounds. Whenever I have any sense of overwhelm or I feel a little anxious, if I put in my earbuds and have noise canceling going on and just have the sounds of nature piped in, there's a lot of really great videos on YouTube with just nature sounds, the ocean, a fire in the forest, a river. My adrenaline drops immediately. My calmness just rises like crazy, and I can literally feel the shift in my body instantaneously. So I started making a practice that I will listen to my nature sounds on my way to my first client, because this is a great way to get my mind refocused and feel refreshed as I go in to see my first face-to-face client for the day. The other habit I have made sure to reinstitute is utilizing the tanning bed. I used to use it all the time. The last 18 months, I've hardly used it all, even though I pay for a membership every month. And so I made it my goal that a minimum of once a week, I am getting into the tanning bed and I am using it to help myself with seasonal depression. I don't get really depressed, but I definitely get that funky blue melancholiness. And it really affects just my connection to everything I feel. And so I am now double dipping and I'm listening to my nature sounds while in the tanning bed once a week minimum. So that last one probably sounds really silly, but I find creativity flows so well there. I can actually get myself in the tanning bed, get my earbuds on with my noise canceling nature sounds, and the creativity just flows. For 20 minutes there, I literally get in a state of flow where all the ideas that were kind of jumbled up in a traffic jam now are flowing out, and I can see crystal clear what I want to do. And I just think that relaxation and that refreshment and that forcing myself to be still, because really you can't do anything else in a tanning bed but listen to something and think, has been huge for me. It has really made it to where I'm doing these on Wednesdays, and my Wednesdays are my highest productive days now because of this little add-in. I've always maintained my workouts, but I made a big change. For the last year or so, and actually longer than that, I've been really bad about listening to a podcast or a class because I'm always getting certified in something more during my workout. And what I've realized is that does not allow my brain to fully enjoy everything about my rock climbing and my weightlifting. And it doesn't allow my brain to just be relaxed and explore and see connections between things. Generally, my workouts are actually a really great flow-inducing activity. But when I'm listening to a podcast, I can't get into flow because I'm distracted. And so I made it my rule that this year I will not listen to any podcasts during my workouts, but I just listen to my flow music, and it is fabulous. brain drops all over with the greatest ideas in my workouts when I'm listening to flow music and just letting my brain rest. I know that if I am utilizing productivity music when I'm working and not allowing myself to listen to like a newscast in the background or a podcast in the background, that I can get a lot more done and I feel much more connected to my work and my creativity can flow. So that was my first rule, is no more being in creator mode and also learner mode at the same time. What I mean by that, I'm not trying to gather more information from a new podcast that I will absolutely love while I'm being a creator and have that distracted space in my brain that doesn't allow me to really connect with the message I'm trying to create. And it just takes a lot longer. I also know that when I start my day with praise and worship, it is huge for me. I am a believer, and if I start my day off and when I'm in the shower and getting my makeup on and getting dressed, and I just have some great praise going on, it just helps my focus. It helps me feel really connected to what is most important to me. And that really helps me just move through my day as my better self. And so I've made sure that every morning in the shower, and as I'm getting ready, that 45 minutes to an hour, I've just got some great praise and worship blasting through the speaker, and it's been amazing. It's really set the tone for my energy. And the last thing I've made sure I do, now I've actually always been really good about this, but this year I'm making sure that no matter what I do it, and that is, well, you guys will think I'm really crazy for this one, but that is, I get up at 3:15 in the morning. Yes, I said 3:15. My first client, I leave my house to go see my first face-to-face client at 5:40 in the morning. So if I get up at 3:15, I can have an hour and 45 minutes to be able to just work on my deepest, hardest, most important project uninterrupted. And the amount of clarity and focus and results I get in that hour and 45 minutes is over the top. And I have paired it with only listening to my flow focus music during that time. No distractions. Notice my theme here. And then I get in the shower immediately, which is a wonderful recovery from flow, where I'm listening to my praise and worship. And then when I'm driving, I'm listening to my nature sounds. So by the time 6 o'clock rolls around, I've had almost 3 hours of highly productive work and creative sparking activities that just make my day phenomenal. And I'll tell you, I know it sounds nuts to wake up at 3:15, but the great thing is, when I do that, no matter what happens, it doesn't matter if there's an emergency or some crazy deadline I would have never thought a client needed, something happens that I could never expect, I finished my most productive project first thing in the morning. And no matter else what happens, I had success, and it feels so good. So those are the things that I will continue to do throughout this year, because I really believe that even with all the little biohacks and all the tricks and tips I know to do as a peak performance coach to get the most out of your time, those little tiny things are the things that have made the biggest difference, because they've set up my brain to succeed. They set up my brain to be creative. They set up my brain to relax and be still. And in that, it's allowed me to tap into my own creativity. It's allowed me to push away overwhelm and gain complete focus. It's allowed me to have my most productive January I think I've ever had. All right, guys, let me know what your tips are. What things will you be keeping throughout the rest of the year? See ya.